Hi everyone, welcome to step 4 of MMP360, which is entering in our field management practices for our newly created field. The first step you can see on this is copying a field, because many fields in your animal feeding operation will have similar management practices, so we can save time by automatically copying existing fields management practices into this newly created field. So what we would do is we'd go look at this drop-down and a list of fields would be presented to us that we could choose to copy the management practices into this new field. In this case, since this is a new field for a new operation, we don't have any management practices to copy in. So we're going to have to go and create our management. But what's great about MMP360 is that once you create a management practice, it can be copied through your entire animal feeding operation. We also add the ability to copy a plan year from year to year, because sometimes your management practices will be the same year after year or every other year. For example, if you have a corn-soybean rotation. In this case, we need to enter in some information about our management practices for a newly created field. So the first question we need to ask is, what year is this MMP for? In this case, this MMP is for 2014. We need to list the method to determine our optimum crop yield. For our case, we like to use USDA Iowa Ag statistics for county yields. You can use other methods to determine your yield, and we allow you then to upload supporting documentation for these different methods to determine yields. We now define our crop. In this case, we have corn. And so this window is telling us that we have auto-populated our optimal yield and conservation planning yield using the USDA Iowa Ag statistics by county. So we know where your field is, and we're taking the USDA Iowa Ag statistics from the county that your field is in and populating them here. So we can see for our optimal yield we have 166 bushels per acre, and our conservation planning yield is also 166 bushels per acre. In this case, our conservation planning yield, which we use for our Russell II calculations, is slightly different than our optimal yield, which in this case is 191 bushels per acre. Now we enter in our first set of operations. So for our manure operation, we click Add. We choose our type of method of application for manure. In this case, it's knifed in. We choose our application date, which is November 1st, 2013. When we do not use spray irrigation, so we don't need to check that box. If you do use spray irrigation, you need to upload documentation to support those practices. So now we have our manure operation in for this first year. We now add any tillage operations. So we have a chisel with straight points, and that operation occurs the day after our manure application, so November 2nd, 2013. We also cultivate our field prior to planting, so we go to Cultivator, Cultivator Field Sweeps 6 to 12, and our application date is 4/12/2014. As you can see, we support every Russell II practice in this section for operations. So that's it for tillages for this field. For planting, we use a planter with 30 rows, and we need to enter in our planting date, which in this case was April 17th, 2014. We also can add any commercial fertilizer applications. So we use anhydrous 82%. There are other options to select for your fertilizer type. Our method of application was surface broadcast, and our application date was April 11th. For our rate, we had 70 pounds per acre, and that's all we need to enter for our commercial fertilizer applications. For our harvest date, since we're growing corn, we have a combine using a corn header, and our harvest date was in October, and it was October 18th, or it will be October 18th, 2014. Also, if your field has a herbicide, you can list here the method of application and the application date. So that's all it is for year one for our management operation for a field. In this case, we have a corn-soybean rotation, so we have to enter in slightly different management practices for our second year. So again, we enter in our method to determine optimum crop yield, USDA Iowa Ag Statistics. Our crop this time is soybeans though. And again, we're auto-populating yields based on these USDA Iowa Ag Statistics for counties. Our optimal yield is 47.2 bushels, and our conservation planting yield is also 47.2 bushels, but we're going to change that to 54.0 bushels per acre. And again, this yield is for our Russell 2. We will not have a manure operation for soybeans. For our tillage, we're just going to be field cultivating, and we'll be doing that in April of 2015 because we're in our next year of the plan, April 12th. We'll need to enter our planting date. We're still using a planter with 30 rows, and our planting date is April 18th, 2015. We are not applying any commercial fertilizer to our soybeans. And our harvest date, we're going to use a row crop header, and our harvest date is October 16th, 2015. We're also not using any herbicide for this soybean crop year. So now we have this corn-soybean rotation in. So now we can go into plan year 3 and copy in our management practices from plan year 1 because they're the same because of this corn-soybean rotation. Similarly, we can go into plan year 4 and copy in the soybean management practices because of this corn-soybean rotation. So that's it for field managements. If we have other fields as part of a fielding operation, we can go up to copy a field and copy these management practices into these newly created field. So that's it for step 4 of MMP360. And what's also great about this step is that in the future you can go in and quickly update field management practices. So all these management practices are always saved and never lost. Of course, if you have any questions, please contact us at agsolver.com or chat with us using our live chat feature.